This footprint is 23,000 years old, and it shouldn't exist. For 100 years, we taught kids one simple story. That story is now falling apart. Boats, ice, coastlines, even Europe, the theories are multiplying. So who really got here first and how? Let's dig in. Rewind to the last ice age, over 20,000 years ago. So much water was frozen in glaciers. Sea levels dropped. A land bridge appeared, called Beringia. The classic theory says people walked right across it, then squeezed through a gap between two massive ice sheets. Scientists call it the Ice-Free Corridor. On the other side, an entire continent untouched in 1929, diggers in Clovis, New Mexico, found strange spearheads. These fluted points turned up everywhere, coast to coast, dated to about 13,000 years ago. This became the golden rule, Clovis first. For decades, this is what every textbook taught. Walk across Beringia, squeeze through the corridor, meet Clovis, case closed. Or so everyone thought. But then researchers started looking a little closer. Thousands of miles south, in a place called Monte Verde, archaeologists found a campsite, wood hide fire pits, dated 1,500 years before Clovis even existed. Uh-oh. If Monte Verde is older, the whole timeline breaks. How could people be in Chile before the corridor even opened? Ice core data shows the corridor was still frozen solid. It didn't fully open until around 13,000 years ago, which is way too late for Monte Verde's people. For years, mainstream archaeologists refused to believe it. One archaeologist, Tom Dillahay, was mocked for over a decade. So skeptics flew down to see the site for themselves. And one by one, they became believers. By the 2000s, Clovis first was declared dead. So if people didn't walk the corridor first, how did they get in? A new idea emerged. What if they came by the coast? Not walking through ice, but paddling along a coastline full of food. Scientists call it the kelp highway hypothesis. A continuous belt of kelp forests, rich with seals, fish, and shellfish. It could have let people travel thousands of miles by boat, fast enough to explain Monte Verde with room to spare. But this theory had one big problem: almost no proof. Which brings us back to that footprint from the start. In White Sands, scientists found trackways trails of footprints. Some belonged to children, running and playing near the shoreline. Researchers dated seeds trapped in the layers above and below the prints. The results, between 21,000 and 23,000 years old. That's during the coldest peak of the Ice Age, when both the corridor and the coast were locked in ice. So, how did anyone get there at all? This single discovery sparked fierce debate the moment it published. Some scientists questioned whether the seeds were dated correctly. So researchers tried a totally different dating method: quartz grains. The new results matched the old ones almost exactly. The footprints really were over 21,000 years old. That pushes the arrival date back by thousands of years, which means neither the corridor nor the coast fully explains it. Something else got people here. We just don't know what yet. And that mystery cracked the door open to even wilder ideas. Because footprints are just the beginning of this story. To solve this mystery, scientists turned to something smaller: DNA. Ancient DNA from bones can reveal who's related to whom. Genetic studies confirm most Native Americans share deep Siberian ancestry. But there's a strange twist hiding in the genome. The data suggests a small population got isolated on Beringia itself, cut off from both Asia and the Americas for thousands of years. Scientists call this the Beringian standstill hypothesis. Only after that pause did people finally spread into the Americas. Then, in 2015, researchers found something nobody expected. Some Amazonian groups carry a genetic signal linked to Australia and New Guinea, a signature scientists nicknamed Population Y. How did a Pacific Islander-like signal end up in the Amazon? Nobody agrees on the answer yet, but there are theories. Maybe an older, now vanished population carried it in first. Or maybe it arrived through mixing we haven't fully traced yet. Either way, it's a puzzle piece that doesn't fit neatly. The DNA is telling us this story is far messier than one migration. Multiple waves, multiple routes, maybe even multiple origins. Which brings us to the most controversial theory of all. Some Clovis spear points look oddly similar to tools from Ice Age Europe. It's called the Solutrean hypothesis. The idea: Ice Age Europeans paddled along the edge of Atlantic sea ice, all the way to the eastern coast of North America. Almost every mainstream archaeologist rejects this idea today. because the genetics overwhelmingly point to Asia, not Europe. And the tool similarities may just be coincidence, not contact. So this theory is mostly considered a dead end. But it shows just how wild the search for answers has gotten. Every theory here has fans, critics, and unanswered questions. And that's exactly what makes this such a thrilling mystery. So let's lay out everything we actually know. People were in New Mexico over 21,000 years ago. People were in southern Chile 14,500 years ago. But the inland ice corridor didn't open until 13,000 years ago. Dina shows a long, isolated pause up in Beringia, and a strange Pacific-linked signal shows up deep in the Amazon. None of these pieces line up into one tidy story. The coastal route is currently the leading explanation, but it probably wasn't one trip, it was many, over thousands of years. Different groups, different routes, arriving at different times. The frustrating part? The best coastal evidence is likely underwater now. Sea levels rose over 300 feet since the Ice Age ended. Any campsites right on that ancient coastline are likely drowned, which is why underwater archaeology is such an exciting new frontier. The next big discovery might be sitting on the ocean floor right now. Here's the truth this story keeps teaching us. Every time we think we've found the final answer, the ground shifts beneath us. Literally, we genuinely don't know how far back this story goes. But we know real people made this impossible journey. Families, children, explorers, without maps, without any guarantee of success. And they didn't just survive it, they filled 2 entire continents. Every culture, every nation across the Americas traces back to this moment. So maybe the real magic isn't having the final answer. It's realizing how much is still left to discover. Somewhere out there is a footprint, a bone, a boat, still waiting to rewrite this story all over again. So I want to ask you, which theory do you believe? Drop your theory in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe for more mysteries history hasn't solved yet. See you next time.